Welcome. You're watching Support Life, a program focusing on current social issues from a life-affirming perspective. And today we're speaking with Sr Majella Bollen, and we're speaking about the Year of Mercy. Thanks for coming in, Sister.
You're welcome.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I originally came from Tasmania, and when I was just 17, I joined religious life in 1961, so I've been in religious life for about 55 years.
Yes.
And just dedicating myself to God and to His people, and I really find it life-giving and rewarding.
Right.
And my main passion now, I suppose you might say, is the Year of Mercy,
Yes.
and particularly this diary of St Faustina, of her message of mercy. And the other one that I'm passionate about is Life for the Glory of God the Father, where you encourage people to know that they have a loving Father who cares for them and loves them.
Right.
So they're my main passions at the moment.
And so the Divine Mercy, is that an ongoing reference to, well, clearly the Year of Mercy? Where does Divine Mercy fit into the Year of Mercy?
Well, Divine Mercy has been from St Faustina when she had
yes.
revelations in the early 1900s. So, yes. But with Divine Mercy, Year of Mercy, the Pope made a very surprising announcement on the 11th of April last year.
Right.
And he said, he declared a extraordinary Jubilee of Mercy, starting on the 8th of December and closing on the 20th of November this year.
Right.
Okay? So he actually wrote a document to go with this Year of Mercy, and it's called Misericordia Vultus, which means the face of mercy. So the Pope wants us to be the face of mercy in the world today. So, yes.
So does he define mercy, or how do you define mercy? What would you see it as?
Well, how do I define mercy? Well, one way I define mercy is that Jesus himself personifies mercy.
Yes.
His actions and his words and his whole being show us the mercy of God the Father.
Yes.
And then another way I'd like to think of mercy is the fruit. Mercy is the fruit of love. And I liken it to a beautiful sunset. You see all those magnificent colours. And so if a person is full of mercy, then they are a beautiful person. And then if they're not full of mercy, it's like the sun goes down and you just see grey clouds.
Yes.
But the thing that I like most about mercy is Sister Hilda. She's a Benedictine nun, and she describes it as a very beautiful person. And she talks about there are 7 facets of mercy.
Yeah.
So those facets of mercy, which she describes, are forgiveness and accepting people, trusting in people, having compassion, having understanding, and having forgiveness. Did I say forgiveness before?
I think you did, but it's very important. Trust, empathy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And empathy.
Yeah.
Empathy, I think, is one of the most important. And because it's sitting with a person and waiting with them and really hearing their pain and their suffering and listening to them.
Yes.
Because I think when people are listened to, you actually feel it's life-giving.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And listening is something that a lot of people don't do.
No, well, not in this society.
No,
they've got their mobile phones and they're,
right.
texting away. And they can bump into you down the street, So, yes, I think that's something we're missing in our life.
Yes, well, those qualities, just reading them back here, for mercy of forgiveness, acceptance, compassion, tenderness, trust, understanding, and empathy. So, of those, which is the most important, do you think, or are they all of equal importance?
Well, the Pope stresses forgiveness, though forgiveness is only really a very tiny part of the whole of mercy, but it's something that we really need to do.
Yes.
Okay? And so in his book, the way he speaks of it is, he says, we want to live this Jubilee year in the light of the Lord's words, merciful like the Father. And another thing he says, how much I desire that the year to come will be steeped in mercy, so that we can go out to every man and woman bringing the goodness and the tenderness of God. Right. And he says, may the balm of mercy reach everyone, both believers and those far away, as a sign that the kingdom of God is already present in our midst.
It's pretty powerful stuff. I can see why you choose to attach strongly to that.
I do.
Yes.
So another thing he says, you know, that as Christians we should be an oasis of mercy.
Yes.
I love that. I think it's a beautiful image, because if we were an oasis of mercy, we'd be a refuge of mercy, a place of peace.
That's right.
You know, we'd be giving so much life. So I just I really do get excited about this year of mercy.
Yeah, and as you said, being a refuge, because if you look around you, and the media exposes it all the time, there are a lot of people who need a refuge.
Oh yes.
And we need a refuge from time at the moment because we're out of it.
Okay.
We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. You're watching Support Life, and today we're speaking with Sr Majella Bollen. Now, and we're talking about mercy, aren't we, Sister?
Yes.
I think the Pope has had things to say about mercy, but also the meaning of life. What's his quotations on that?
Well, I saw a quote of his just recently, which I thought was beautiful. He said, the true meaning of life is self-sacrificing love and concern for others.
Right.
And that touched me quite deeply.
And how would you see that type of love manifest? How would that happen?
Well, the Pope talks about, first of all, we need to contemplate the Gospels and the life and action and words of Jesus, because until we contemplate what mercy really is, and then receive that mercy, we actually can't give it out to other people. It's just impossible. You know, it would be an empty vessel. So it's like finding out how Jesus was concerned for people and how he loved people, and then imitating him as much as we can.
So you're implying that there's a lot of internal work needs to happen.
Oh yes, very much so. And Jesus said, I have come that you may have life and have life to the full. And so many times you can look at life and you see that people put on life, the focus is on wealth and power and status. Well, I'm sorry, that really doesn't give the fullness of life that Jesus wants to give us. Okay, it's that concern for people.
Yes.
And that self-sacrificing love that is just so life-giving for each of us.
So by self-sacrificing, you're meaning that the love that you're giving is unconditional. It's not focused on self. It's to other. And I see you have a Bible there, Sister. I'm sure there's some interesting quotes in there you'd like to give us.
Yes, I have a beautiful passage here where Jesus meets Zacchaeus. And I believe it's a passage that does describe mercy in the life of Jesus and Zacchaeus. So Jesus entered Jericho and was going through the town when a man whose name was Zacchaeus made his appearance. He was one of the senior tax collectors and a wealthy man. He was anxious to see what kind of a man Jesus was, but he was too short and could not see him for the crowd. So he ran ahead and climbed a sycamore tree to catch a glimpse of Jesus, who was to pass that way. Now, what I like about that is it says Zacchaeus made his appearance. If you think about that, it's like, yes, he would have come well dressed, full of his own self-importance, and he was a wealthy man. And so he wouldn't have been accepted by the crowd there because he stole the tax money from them. Okay? So he arrives there, but it says he was anxious. So with all this wealth and power and status, it doesn't give him anything.
No.
Okay? There's a deep need, a deep desire for something more. And normally if you're well dressed, you don't run and climb a tree, okay?
That's right.
You've got to be pretty desperate.
Yes,
but he would have heard that this man called Jesus was most likely this oasis of mercy and love that he needed. So he climbed a tree just to see if he could see him.
Okay.
But the part I like most is when Jesus reached the spot where he was in the tree, he looked up and he spoke to Zacchaeus, and he invited him down and invited himself for dinner. But that look is what I find is extraordinary. And the Pope talks a lot about the gaze of mercy.
Okay.
And so what Zacchaeus would have seen was pure love, pure tenderness, pure compassion, all those qualities that I gave on mercy. He wouldn't have seen anything of self-condemnation, self-criticism, any of that, or judgment. He just saw that mercy. And that gaze of mercy changed his life.
Yes.
Because Jesus didn't say to him, well, now you've got to do this, this and this and this before you can have a meal with me. You've got to change. No, he just looked at him. And that was the incentive for him to change. And I just love that. I just think it's beautiful.
It's powerful. And you take it apart very skillfully too, because you can read that and not get the impact that you're pointing out there. So the condemnation stealing from his own people, that for Zacchaeus, that must have been an amazing experience. And he then went on to dine with Jesus in his home, didn't he?
Yes. And so anything before this meant nothing. Anything of his life meant nothing, paled into insignificance, because he had met the gaze of mercy.
Yes.
And it's so important that we can be that gaze of mercy for others. And the Pope actually says, he says that we are to gaze on our brothers and sisters with mercy. Now that doesn't mean just our brothers and sisters.
But we also need to gaze on our watches, and time's up.
Okay.
We'll be back in a moment. Welcome back. You're watching Support Life, and we're speaking with Sr Majella, and we're speaking about the Year of Mercy. Sister, the Pope has called people into practical living in this Jubilee. What's he suggested is a way for practical living?
Well, he says the message of mercy is a very specific life plan. So even though this Year of Mercy finishes on the 20th of November, it's a life plan.
Yes.
You know, so it goes on and on. And he says, you know, one of the most obvious ways of mercy is to practice forgiveness, because it's really hard to forgive those who offend us.
Yes.
And he says here, pardoning offences becomes the clearest expression of merciful love. And for us Christians, it is an imperative from which we cannot excuse ourselves. It's pretty strong.
Yes, yes.
At times, how hard it seems to forgive, and yet pardon is the instrument placed into our fragile hands to attain serenity of heart.
Exactly.
So to let go of anger, wrath, violence and revenge are necessary conditions to living joyfully.
Yes.
It's coming back to that fullness of life, to live joyfully. So that's one of the, you know, important things that he's suggested as a practical way.
And part of something which affects us too, isn't it? Your awareness of the quality with which God loves us.
Oh yes, yes.
And so it's to recognise that.
Yes.
So what would be your description of God's love in this context?
Well, we need to know that no matter what we do, his love is always there.
Yes.
It never ever changes.
Without judgment.
Yes.
That's right. So we're really trying to become that love which we receive.
Yes. Yes.
So the Pope on forgiveness is it's hard to forgive people who have hurt you.
Yes.
What's the Pope's suggestion on the way to handle that?
I think, first of all, we have to know that we need to be forgiven ourselves.
Yes.
Okay? And we need to receive that forgiveness, because if we haven't received forgiveness, we don't know how to be merciful to others.
No. You'll often hear people say, well, I can forgive, but I'll never forget. How does that fit? Where does the I'll never forget? You can't really be forgiving and compassionate if you'll never forget, can you?
I don't think you can forget when you've been hurt, but the sting is taken out of it.
Right.
Yes.
Right. The sting is taken out of it by seeing the humanity of the other.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So it's once again bringing the light of God's love across the other person.
It's this non-judgmental attitude, or excusing them.
Yes. Yes.
Now, I've got something that's a big surprise announcement that's just been made by the Pope.
All right.
Okay.
We don't have any trumpets to blare, but you can do it anyway. No drum roll.
Wow. On the 2nd of April this year, on the Vigil of Divine Mercy Sunday, he made this surprising announcement that he wanted a monument or some reminder of this year of mercy.
Oh, okay.
But he wants it to be a structured work of mercy. So he talked about, he gave a few examples. He said maybe a hospital, maybe a home for recovering drug addicts, maybe a home for abandoned children, or maybe a school where there's not a school for children in need. And he wants every diocese to do this. Now we've got 4 dioceses in Victoria. So there's a lot of people, if this truly comes about, it'll be so life-giving for them.
Absolutely, and so much work in the heart of the people who are developing the concepts in each of these dioceses. Yes, that's very powerful. So have you spoken to others to see how it's being picked up? Is it being picked up with enthusiasm?
I did speak to my sister, who hadn't seen, some people haven't seen this announcement, okay? I missed it at the time. It was only a few days later that I picked it up. But I'm sure going to stir the pot.
yes. I can see that there's a fair bit of determination there that you'll do that.
Yes.
But so this is a worldwide thing, isn't it?
Yes.
So that's got amazing potential of impact.
Yes.
So
he gets very specific about the practical things, and like it's also World Youth Day. This year, and he's written to the people going to World Youth Day, and he said, if you want me to be specific about what you can do, he says that he wants us to take the corporal and spiritual works of mercy, the 7 of each, and take one of each for every month for 7 months. So a corporal work of mercy would be to visit the sick. A spiritual work of mercy would be to suffer wrongs. Okay.
Yes.
So, yes.
Yes.
So, yes. So I'm trying to practice all these things.
Yes, that's right. Well, it's certainly a big ask for anybody, but with your determination, sister, I'm sure you'll get there. So St Hilda, you were talking about the 7 qualities of St Hilda's.
Sister Hilda, it is.
Sister Hilda, yes.
She's not a saint yet.
She's not a saint yet. Give her time. Yeah. So what are those qualities, sister?
Those are the facets of mercy we spoke about.
Oh, yes.
So I'm now trying to take one of those each month, and I'm also trying to take one of the corporal works and the spiritual works, and trying to trust in Jesus' mercy more.
Yes.
And I'm also trying to read this diary of Sister Faustina's, okay?
Yes.
But there's so many other ways.
Absolutely.
But the Pope tells us to pray this particular prayer of Saint Faustina's, but it's condensed. Do you want me to read that to you?
If we have time, and I think we probably will. So yes, please read it.
Help me, O Lord, that my eyes may be merciful, so that I'll never be suspicious or judge by appearances, but always look for what is beautiful in my neighbours' souls and be of help to them. That my ears may be merciful, so that I will be attentive to my neighbours' needs and not indifferent to their pains and complaints. That my tongue may be merciful, so that I will never speak badly of others, but have a word of comfort and forgiveness for all. That my hands may be merciful and full of good deeds. That my feet may be merciful, so that I will hasten to help my neighbour, despite my own fatigue and weariness. That my heart may be merciful, so that I myself will share in all the sufferings of my neighbours.
Thank you, sister. That's a beautiful way to finish on mercy.
Yes.
Thanks so much.
Okay.
You've been watching Support Life. We'll be back next week, and thanks for watching.